Welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Faringer, an attorney, spiritual guide, and wealth activator. I'm here to help you align your mindset for abundance and break through any glass ceilings with money. If you're ready to embrace your highest calling, manifest with more ease, and create a life that feels lighter and more aligned, then let's dive in. Hello, welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna. I am going to visit a topic today that I do talk about a lot, I think kind of sprinkled throughout different podcast episodes, and it really relates to your body. And I've not really done a full episode dedicated to this, which is, having awareness of your body and the knowledge that you are the expert over your body at all times, no matter what's going on. Even in the face of a medical issue. If you're having a medical emergency, of course, you should defer to the doctors. If something major has happened. But what I'm going to go through today is really not that. Certainly, if you have a major medical emergency, if it were me, I would certainly listen to and take, put a lot of stock into what a medical professional is telling me. However, outside of that, which is, that's a unique circumstance that a lot of people luckily don't have to deal with. I'm talking about things that are happening in our day-to-day life, maybe chronic health issues, exercise, fitness, nutrition, things that you might be doing to change your body, or things that you may be doing in response to like messages your body is giving you from a health perspective. Like maybe you're having health issues and you're trying to navigate what to do. What I'm going to talk about today is just really reminding you that you are the expert on you. Nobody else is the expert on you. Doctors, nurses, any sort of medical professional, fitness instructors, nutritionists, anybody in the health and wellness space, they do know a lot about the thing that they practice in and that they specialize in from a general perspective and from the experiences that they have in one-on-one cases. But just because they have a lot of experience and they see a lot of things does not mean that it's going to align for you. And I feel like we all need this reminder. And I feel like even I do, as somebody who's gone through a number of health issues, who knows that my body and what it's telling me always takes, priority over everything and everyone else. I have to be reminded of this because I've gone through some things recently with my health. Not big things, but I'll give you some examples of just things where I'm getting information from, the health and wellness community, and I'm doing the thing and it just does not align for me. And that's what I really want to remind you of, is just because it works for a lot of people doesn't mean it's going to work for you, whatever the thing is. And again, when I give you some examples, you'll have some more context for this. But, just because everyone is like eating 130 grams of protein a day doesn't mean that you need to do that. And I am not a medical professional, so please do not take anything I say as telling you to do or not do something. But the reason I'm bringing up that protein thing is because to me, it feels like a fad. And I know there's going to be people out there that are in the health and fitness space that are like, it's not a fad. That's fine. This is my opinion on it. People are talking so much about protein in a way that never has happened in our lives. And everybody was living just fine before that happened. I was. And I'm honestly I'm so over it. I'm like, if one more person tells me that I need to eat X amount of protein a day, I'm going to tell them to take that advice and shove it where the sun doesn't shine, because I really don't care. It doesn't work for me. And I've actually had this conversation with other friends, female friends in my life, that have also felt this pressure to do things differently with our health, and it doesn't feel good. So I'm going to get into a couple of these things because it's really something that has affected me a lot lately. I am in perimenopause. My body is doing things it has never done before. The things that have worked for the entirety of my life up until now don't work anymore. And it's really frustrating. And, if you're a woman that is going through this right now too, you would know, and we all are responding differently. So you may or may not, be dealing with some of these things, but I am the heaviest I've ever been in my life, which I'm sure I don't look that way to other people, but I do. It's my body and I know it and I feel it. And so I have been, on a journey the last year and a half to try to, reduce my weight and get more fit, even though I really feel like I've been fit for the large majority of my life. I've always worked out. I played, competitive sports. I was always really into exercise, and this has thrown me off quite a bit, but I've been engaging people to help me. And there are some things in that space that I just really feel kind of, not that they're doing a disservice to people, but maybe a little bit, people not having the awareness that everybody's body is so different and we are not all going to respond to the same things. And so what may have worked for one person is not going to work for another. And I can tell you that in my experience, my body tends to do completely different things from everybody else's, which I'll give you some examples too. And so for me, I have to really be aware of like, okay, so I'm getting this information about this thing. I'm willing to try it, but if it doesn't feel good or if it doesn't feel aligned, I'm not going to continue to make myself do something just because science or something else says it's good for you. I'm getting so over this stuff. There's so much stuff on social media and everywhere else about how we're supposed to be living our lives and what we're supposed to be eating and like how we're supposed to be getting exercise in. And it's kind of, I don't know, maybe for me, I just am feeling not even overwhelmed by it and just over it. I'm like, I don't care about any of this anymore, like I do and I don't. Like I have to figure out what works for me. And all of these like fads and these trends that people have with health and fitness and all this stuff, I'm kind of losing patience for it, which you're gonna be able to tell throughout this podcast. The protein thing really has me over the edge, but there's some other things too that I think it's important just to be like, okay, this thing may be good for me, like, or science or research may say this thing is good for me, but I've tried it and it doesn't feel aligned. So what's something else that I can try? And that's really what this is about, is exploring, different ways of doing things that work for your body. Nobody lives in your body but you. Doctors have training, they have lived experience, but their credentials does not give them the constant day-to-day awareness and the day-to-day feelings and sensations that you are having in your body. I've had many times where I have had something happening in my body that a doctor did not know what to do about. So, and this is, I think doctors are great, by the way. This is not about, I'm not discrediting the medical community. They serve a great purpose. What I am just wanting people to be very reminded of is when we get into these spaces where our body is doing something that we don't want or we don't like, we have this tendency to want to have other people fix things for us. And what I'm just trying to get you to remember is no matter what you're going through from a physical perspective or health perspective, nobody knows your body better than you do. Don't forget that. Don't let anybody think that you don't know what you're doing. Don't let anybody make you, feel like you should distrust yourself or your discernment or your inner authority, because nobody knows your body better than you. You've been living in it your whole life, and we all respond differently to things. Just because something works for me does not mean it's going to work for you, and vice versa. Right? And our bodies are giving us signals long before any sort of labs or tests are showing something to us. And so your intuition and your physiology are so deeply connected. And, just like with money, external advice isn't always wrong, but it's incomplete without your internal knowing, right? So like when I'm talking about money, and by the way, again, this always relates to money. If you're not feeling good in your body, it affects how you move through the world and what you're attracting into your life. But the other thing is like getting information about other people about money is great, but just because somebody is making money a certain way doesn't mean it's going to work for you or that it's going to feel aligned for you, right? And so this isn't the same kind of thing. Like getting information for yourself, exploring ways to feel better in your body, feel differently in your body, but knowing that you are the ultimate authority, nobody else. So yeah, I mean, these trends, okay, I know people are going to tell me that this protein thing isn't a trend. I think it is. I just like when this constant stuff I see on like, ways to, these people like, oh, ways to eat 130 grams of protein. I've tried it. And by the way, I have tried so many different things. I can't eat 120 or 130 grams of protein. I cannot. And if somebody's listening and they're like, oh, yes, you can, you're just not doing it right. Look, I can't eat that much food. And I've had this conversation with other females that are my age. I get like so full after eating like one egg, you guys. And I don't eat like a bird, by the way. I'm hungry and I do eat throughout the day, right? I eat 3 full meals. I don't really snack very much. But there was a time around like a year ago where I got very into, I was like, I'm going to do this calorie counting. I'm going to like try to eat as much protein as possible. By the way, it wasn't doing anything. And I'm sure somebody out there is going to be like, well, you weren't doing it right, or you probably weren't pairing it with exercise. Yes, I was. And in fact, I even had a trainer tell me that she thought I wasn't eating enough calories. And so then I got really confused because I'm like, oh boy, I'm not even eating enough calories. But anyway, I tried this whole protein thing. The only way for me, based on the things that I will eat, that I like to eat, that have protein in them, and I tried to incorporate it into my food, the only way to accomplish the amount of protein that like people are telling you now to eat was by drinking like 2 additional clear protein drinks a day. That was the only way I could do it. And I've read a lot about how like that's not even the right kind of protein, right? Like, so I just thought to myself, this is so like I'm spending so much time doing something that I don't even really want to do. And so you know what I've decided? I'm going to try to incorporate protein as much as I can in every meal. I'm not going to count it because it felt obsessive. It felt like it was something that wasn't going to work for me in terms of reaching the amount that like everybody's out there telling you you're supposed to do. And by the way, my body felt completely fine before all of this protein stuff came out. And so now I'm kind of like, I just feel like it's a little bit of a fad. I feel like it's a way for companies to try to sell more products. I feel like it's a way for people in the health and fitness industry to try to make more money. Again, please do not take offense to anything that I'm saying. If you fall in this arena, this is just my experience and my opinion, not trying to sway anybody to believe it. But it's just for me has been a constant reminder of like, I'm not going to do something that doesn't feel good just because people are saying it's like, oh, this is supposed to be good for you. Great. That's great that it's good for you. It doesn't align for me. And I'll give you another example. I don't think that people think running is the best thing for you, but if somebody came out with research tomorrow that said the best exercise for people is running and that it's the most recommended exercise, I still wouldn't do it. You know why? I don't like running. I used to run. There was a time in my life when I enjoyed it. I now dislike it so much, I wouldn't run unless I was being chased by a robber. So just because science or research or people say that it's good for you doesn't mean you have to do it. And I'm going to say the same thing about weightlifting. There's going to be people out here, again, if you're in the health and fitness industry that are like, Brianna, don't tell people they're not supposed to weightlift. I'm not. But everyone's like, oh, women and men at a certain age, they need to be doing lifting weights and have resistance. Great. That's perfectly fine. But if there are people that absolutely hate doing that, it's going to be hard for them to incorporate it in their lives. I don't hate lifting, but there's certainly some exercises I don't like, and I'm not going to do them just because people think they're good for you. There's lots of ways to get resistance training in. So I'm just saying this, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I do look at health and fitness stuff on social media. I'm getting fed so much of it, but I just feel like there's so much stuff and I'm getting really sick of it. I don't even care anymore. I'm like, I'm just going to do what I've been doing. What feels good. I'm going to eat the food I like. I'm going to, try to eat as healthy as I can. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to get resistance training in as much as I can, but I'm not going to plan my life around all of this stuff, you guys. I'm just not. And so here's some questions I would have you think about if you're having any sort of health issue or you're trying to, to change your life, or you're doing kind of some of the things I'm doing, which is trying to change your eating habits or trying to incorporate more exercise or whatever the thing is. Number one, does this actually feel good in my body? Right? Does it feel good in my body? The second question I would ask is, am I doing this because it's actually aligned for me, or am I doing it because somebody told me to do it? The other way I would phrase this, or another like way of thinking about it, is, am I doing this because it aligns, or am I doing it because out of fear of like some science or some research or some doctor has told me like X is going to happen if I don't do this? And am I doing this as a form of control? Right? Like for me, I've never had a problem with my weight my entire life. I'm fortunate for that. I feel very grateful that it's never been an issue until about a year and a half ago. And it feels very weird to have my body doing things that I don't understand and that I feel like I have absolutely no control over. And here's the thing, I can only control what I can control, which is, I can control the food I eat. I can control the movement I get. I control my thoughts. I can control the way I respond to it. I control, my acceptance around it. And I think that's a lot of what I've done, is trying to just accept that my body is changing and that's okay. And in the face of that, there's certain things that I can do, and there may be some things that I can't. And I'm still very torn on that right now. I have to be honest with you, because it's still very frustrating, but I'm in more of an acceptance phase now than I was like a year ago. But yeah, just like thinking about, where in my life am I doing something because somebody else told me I'm supposed to be doing it, or somebody else told me it's good for you. Just because it's good for some people doesn't mean it's good for you. Another place that this has come up for me is like, my body responds to things very differently than a lot of people, particularly when it comes to medications. Several years ago, I had been trying a couple, this is a long time ago, not several years ago, it's probably like 6 years ago now, 7 or 6 years ago now, where I was taking some medications for my back pain. This is when I still had chronic lower back pain, which I don't have anymore. But my doctor had prescribed me 2 different medications, and I went off both of them because they had side effects that I could not live with. And the thing was they were not any of known side effects at all. And my doctor was like, I've never had any patient ever even tell me that they've had these side effects. And he wasn't saying that to be dismissive, and he wasn't saying it because he doubted it. He was saying it because he knows how sensitive I am to certain things. And for whatever reason, my body was responding very differently to these medications than most other people. One of them made me need to go to the bathroom like every hour. I was waking up in the middle of the night, literally every hour on the hour, to go to the bathroom, and I wasn't getting any sleep. And when I went off of it, I was completely fine. But he was like, that is so weird. That is a side effect I've never heard anybody have. Guess what? I had it, right? Just because that's a prescribed medication for this thing, or because it works for other people, doesn't mean it works for you. There's lots of other things you can try. And so I just throw that out there because I think we get led to believe that like there's only like 1 or 2 solutions, or just because this thing works for the majority of people, it's supposed to work for us. I really just want to remind you that you may not respond to something the way that everybody else does, whether it's a medication, whether it's an exercise, whether it's food, protein, calorie counting, whatever the thing is, right? Like, it may not align for you, and that's okay, right? Again, just because some people think running is good for you doesn't mean you need to do it. Maybe you prefer the Stairmaster. Maybe you don't like doing cardio at all and you'd rather go for walks. Like, those are the kind of things where I'm like, I'm not a fitness professional, but I know enough to know that if I don't enjoy something, it doesn't matter how much science and research is backing it, I'm not going to do it. I could care less, unless somebody's like, you're going to die if you don't do this. Maybe that's different, but that's not the situation, right? Like, there's lots of different ways to attack a problem. There's lots of different solutions. You just have to be willing to try things out. And I know that can be very frustrating. But get curious, what is this telling me? Like, how do I feel when I think about doing this thing? If it's an exercise or something else. But there's a huge cost to ignoring what your body is telling you. Burnout, chronic, health issues, hormonal dysregulation, anxiety, connection from your intuition, feeling like something is wrong, but no one is validating it. Again, just realizing that not everyone reacts the same. Our bodies are unique. And if you're ignoring the way that you feel about something, it's not going to help you solve the problem. So, if you're like, oh, I hate going to this exercise class, but I'm doing it because my doctor said it's good for me. I don't know. It depends on the issue. But like for me, I'd be like, I'm going to find an exercise class that I like, not one that I dread going to. Like, I'm at this point in my life where I'm not going to do things just because people tell me to. And by the way, I've never done things because people told me to. I have always been the kind of person who wants to try things out on my own, and I have to figure out what works for me. And so it's just a reminder that, if you're going through something, yes, getting information from other people and doing research on your own can be helpful, but also recognizing that something may not be aligned for you, and you have to just really be aware of that. It's, practicing discernment. Listening to your body does not mean rejecting medical care. It does not mean rejecting fitness and nutritionist perspective. It's taking it in, but recognizing that you're partnering with it based on how you feel, on your intuition, on your self-trust, and how you feel things should be incorporated in your life, and not just because somebody is telling you to do it. This is just such a good reminder for me. And I even had an experience this weekend where I was reminded about that. I went to an event where there was ice baths, which, by the way, I think are really great. I think there's a lot of research out there that they're great for you. I personally hate them, right? So, there is some merit to doing things that challenge you, and that, getting yourself out of your comfort zone. But also being aware of like, okay, I don't really like that thing, right? And for me, ice baths are just not going to be my thing. Maybe they will be at another point in time, but at this stage of my life, they're not. And just they're other people's thing, and that's fine. You know what I love more? I love going and sitting in a dry sauna. Like, there's people who would absolutely hate that, right? And there's tons of benefits of being in a sauna, or even like an infrared sauna. But that doesn't mean that people should do it if they don't enjoy it. So I'm all about trying to find things that you can incorporate in your life that allow you to like feel aligned, rebuild trust with your body, and feeling like you are a participant in solving it and not just listening to what other people are telling you. I think especially for women, we have a tendency to override our discomfort. And we're praised for pushing through and just making things work. And to do that, we have to disconnect from our bodies sometimes. So, I'm just inviting you to think about, is there something going on in your life right now where you feel like you're giving your power to somebody else or to some other person, thing, a doctor, or anybody, because you just want so badly to fix something that you are kind of disconnecting from it? And if you have a serious health issue, by the way, that's a completely different situation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just, some of the day-to-day things that we deal with, which is eating, nutrition, fitness, exercise, movement, chronic health things like, things like that. And a couple things, more questions in that realm. Where am I outsourcing my authority? What signals is my body giving me that I'm not listening to? And what would change if I trusted myself first? Those are some additional questions that you can ask yourself. Your body's never going to betray you. And I say this all the time, your mind lies to you, your body doesn't. You know your body better than anyone. So, I empathize with you if you're going through any sort of health issue, or if your body has, gone through some changes and you're not really sure how to respond to it, because I've been through all of those things myself, and it can be frustrating to find solutions, but they're available. If you are open and curious to the ways that things can change, the solutions will come in. And there's no harm in trying things, because when you try new things, when you take action, the energy starts to move, and actually the energy around you starts to show you whether it's aligned or not. It's whether you listen that you can actually get onto the right path, right? So moving towards something, taking action towards something, and being like, okay, this is aligned or it isn't aligned, helps you redirect and find the thing that maybe is more aligned for you. So I just want to remind you about that. You know yourself better than anyone. Your intuition is strong. Your body is strong. It knows what it needs. Don't let other people tell you what you're supposed to be doing if it doesn't feel aligned. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening today. If you have questions, as always, reach out to me. If not, I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, before you go, would you love to receive my 3-step masterclass to easily create and hold wealth for free? It's called Effortless Money, and it includes the exact framework to start attracting money effortlessly and manifesting abundance with more ease. If you want it for free, all you have to do is leave an honest review of the Wealth Embodied podcast, take a screenshot of this episode and put it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Brianna_Faringer, and we will send you the free Effortless Money Masterclass. This is how my clients have manifested a $13,000 check, a promotion resulting in a $30,000 salary increase, and significantly improved relationships. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time on the Wealth Embodied podcast.